Maybe, maybe you want to explain yourself?
Yes, I do. American Nightmare Cody and fans all across the world, we are crowning a brand new champion. Take a look at our board. The TNT champion. That's exactly right. And tomorrow night on Dark, we will reveal one half of the brackets.
Ain't you tired of that same old thing? There ain't no shame, cause everybody ain't gonna change. Moxie's looking to stop Le Champion. His cover's blown.
We are back, All Elite family, for another exciting edition of the All Elite podcast. As you heard on that intro, AEW has announced the news that they're coming out with a new championship, the AEW TNT Championship. That's some news we'll get to here in a minute. We got a whole bunch of news to talk about, but first, as always, we got to introduce ourselves. I'm joined by my boy, Big Match AJ. AJ, how you doing?
Doing good. Everything's been cool. Family moved in. A lot of crazy stuff going on, but overall, everything's been copacetic.
Dude, hanging in there through the coronavirus, getting together with a larger group of people, AJ. I'm gonna call the Florida officials and let them know that you're getting close on the official numbers there. No, but honestly, I'm doing good, man. I've been hanging in there. Not a whole lot going on outside of my house, but doing a lot inside, online, that type of thing. Got a lot of schoolwork to keep up with, which has been kind of a drag, kind of difficult to keep up with how they've changed everything all of a sudden, but I'm keeping up on it. Also been watching a lot of old wrestling, a lot of Chikara and stuff like that, just because I have the time. Been watching old TV shows and stuff like that too, so really just been using my time to do a lot of things I probably wouldn't have done before, kind of killing time in a lot of ways, but it's fun to do that too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been just kind of doing the same thing, killing time, studying, doing what I can for school, but there's only so much you can do right now. Uh, but it's been kind of crazy, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, for sure. It's made me appreciate things like Dark. We've got that to look forward to tonight. Quite interesting card for that. We'll get into details of that later on in the show as well. But it's just been nice. Anytime that AEW especially has been on, I've been looking forward to that. Looking forward to last week's episode of Dynamite. The ratings came out for that. We got 819,000 people tuned in last week. So it's going to vary from week to week. As you can see with this transition and how things are presented, we definitely saw a different show last week than we're used to as well.
Yeah, definitely a different vibe. I guess the rule was have no more than 10 people on set. And so they decided to do that thing where you put the five people in a crowded room together and have them chime in. But I think that really killed the atmosphere.
Yeah, and the thing that I really took away from that was I wonder if that venue has any like VIP boxes up anywhere where you can
Mm,
then put people away, but if they yell loud enough, I think you'd still catch that audible noise that it would work out in both situations and how they want to utilize it. And if you do utilize more than one of those boxes, you can get a decent amount of noise going, you would think. So
that's true.
it's something to consider, but at the same time, they're not trying to like cut too many corners or upset the people in Florida as well. And I'm almost thinking that they probably have an episode or two of Dynamite in the bag as it already is. There was news that they reshot the Jericho and Hardy segment for Dynamite last week. And they said that they taped it on Tuesday, which makes me think they taped the whole episode on Tuesday and probably taped a whole different episode on Wednesday. So what they did essentially was they taped on Tuesday, and then late at night, because of the way that the taping was set up, it had to be at night, this Jericho and Hardy confrontation. They had to wait and tape it late at night, so they taped it during the Kip Sabian match, which was interesting. Like, it's interesting just to think about how they were airing something that had been taped the day before while also taping something that came out, and it explains why it didn't come out the best, because they really rushed that one, and maybe they should have just tried something, like they were trying something different and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation because it really doesn't get dark here until like a half hour, an hour before AEW starts. So you only have 2 days. You want to retape it, you want to make it something good, and it's just you have two chances to do that, and that's the bottom line. And I've weirdly been there in film before where you got to get the last shot in, but it's the daylight isn't right, and so you have to wait a whole entire 24 hours for one shot, and then we can't do it, and it's always hellish, and it's kind of insane that they had to go through that, and it's kind of insane with everything that's happening right now. But overall, with the promo, I kind of appreciate Jericho's sentiment of wanting to reshoot it, because after we went back and I rewatched it, I enjoyed it in the moment, the segment. I really did. But as I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, yeah, there are some parts of this I like, but overall, it was a net negative for me.
I
think,
was right.
coming out of
My
it.
my
Yeah.
rant was right, and how
Yeah.
bad I went in on it. And honestly,
I'll
like
stand by though that I liked it at the time, but just reviewing it, I was like,
I didn't mind it at the time. My biggest issue was with people at right after jumping on social media being like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." Like, you don't have to pretend everything they do is the best wrestling in the entire world or the best content in the entire world. Sometimes you have to face the facts and be like, "Yeah, this wasn't the best." And then continue on from there. And hell, it looks like even Jericho looked at what they had produced initially and was like, "This isn't the best." And I would bet you, if they didn't already have it announced and have to air what they had, they wouldn't have aired that one either. They would have tried something different. And it really makes me wish they went to the Hardy compound. And it makes me think that they will in the near future.
Yeah.
Because you can do a lot more. You have a lot more time to work with, and you're not so within the structure of what you're going through. But I also can understand they're trying to keep as many people in Florida as they can for what's going on. And the good thing about AEW is they've kept a lot of this under wraps as to how they're working with their taping. They might have 5 weeks of taping in the bag, and we just don't really know about it. Whereas WWE has been very they haven't done a great job at keeping everything under wraps. We know essentially WrestleMania and things like that are already taped. Who knows what AEW has taped? But it does look like, to me especially, that they have a couple episodes, or at least one, I would assume, of Dynamite taped, because just how things worked out, the way that that this Hardy and Jericho segment was taped the day before, which I guess I get it, you would tape it the day before anyway, but I feel like they taped the whole show before. That's what makes sense to me. The whole show felt a little off anyway, and that when I heard that the last segment was taped, it just gave me the vibe that maybe there was a lot more tape that Tuesday we didn't know about.
Yeah, very possible. And I'm hoping that is the case. Fingers crossed. But I don't know for sure. I could definitely see them trying to do a format of, hey, we'll run a show live and we'll tape the other one, and we'll do that every week until this is over. And I think that would be probably a decent strategy, because you're still playing it by ear. You can stop doing that at a relatively short time. But I don't know. It's interesting, because I really do feel like we would have heard something about this if they taped more. Because with WWE, and obviously you probably have less people on the set than WWE does, but and less devoted people too, I assume, to keep those things hidden. But they didn't just get announced that they taped WrestleMania. It's announced that people who were on WrestleMania are no longer on WrestleMania. Like, they're announcing gritty details online, and it all seems to be stacking up to be true. So that's the kind of insane part to me, is that if they can really pull off doing tapings and nobody knows about it, I would be very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can look at last week with Dark. We had the results for that. I don't know if this week's Dark's results are available. I could barely find a match card until this morning. So I think that they've done a much better job at keeping things under wraps, especially with only having so many people on set. I mean, hell, even WWE has done a decent job with WrestleMania in terms of the results. Hell, I think someone has said they might have even taped different results for each match just to keep things so it's impossible to leak. So, and it wouldn't be too hard to do something like that either, especially with as little as these guys are working right now compared to how much they're used to working. So, really, I think, again, AEW's done a good job at keeping things under wraps in terms of what they are doing with the tapings, and that's good for us as fans, because you don't want to know. I mean, that would essentially ruin everything as it already is. We don't have fans. There's so little to get excited about as it is. So, and kudos to them for now announcing a new championship, that TNT championship, as we saw at the beginning of this, or we heard at the beginning of this show, Tony Schiavone announcing that on the Road to. What were your thoughts when you first saw this?
I haven't actually seen the Road to yet, but I saw a tweet about it last night after the Road to aired, and I was immediately ecstatic. Not even because we're getting the mid card champion, and I'm happy with that too. Very happy with that. But I was ecstatic with the fact that we're getting another tournament because I'm a tournament junkie, man. King of Trios, Bola, G1 Climax, doesn't matter. I don't care as long as it's a tournament and the guys in it are good. I'm just all in. King of the Ring, I don't give a fuck. I'll watch that. As long as it's a good ass tournament, I'm into it. And I don't know why that is, but damn, if there isn't something just deeply engaging following people in tournaments and seeing them go the distance and everything that goes along into it. So that's the thing I'm most excited for, honest to God.
Me too. I'm really excited that they've announced this tournament. I'm excited the idea of brackets. We're going to have to do something, me, you, and
Hell
Phil,
yeah.
at the very least, of putting together a bracket. And that's fun. That's something to look forward to. And they have such a talented roster that I really hope they use some of those undercard guys that we aren't super, that we haven't felt they've done a great job at utilizing, the Jungle Boys, if you will. And there's so many different guys you can plug into this tournament. That's why I'm excited to tune into Dark tonight, just to see who is going to be a part of this bracket. And then on Dynamite tomorrow, when they finish announcing the brackets, like, that's something to look forward to. And they've done a great job with this, and it was a perfect time to do something like this. And it's because you're introducing a new championship, you can very easily keep people compelled to what this is for the next month easily. Because and it's a tournament, like, from day one we're invested. You do 4 matches on the first show, or even, like, who knows how they're going to split it up, but you do matches on the first show and you automatically have people invested in then 4 new characters who have won. And, like, so I'm really interested. I think that this is the best time to do something like this. Super smart on their part to, like, they haven't utilized this championship, and now is the time to pull it out. They had mentioned on social media that they were getting ready to roll something out very, very exciting, that it wasn't the video game. So that immediately got fans speculating. We saw Funko had tweeted at them, so I was thinking maybe they were just going to announce some Funko Pops. But
That'd be not very exciting.
well, and in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of cool because we sort of get that tongue-in-cheek announcement from Funko. Like, it's definitely not anything set in stone, but it's cool to know that Funko is interested in AEW's product, and we have to expect that at some point. So very cool there too. It's like a little hidden announcement, and I don't think that was.
Cool. I just mean it's not exciting in comparison to a TNT championship.
Absolutely understand what you're saying. If they had just rolled out, like, oh yeah, by the way, it's Funko, and that comment had been there the night before, I would have been like, damn, what a letdown. But the fact that they were able to not have that be the case, the championship is something to get really excited about. Now, it depends on who they put it on as to how excited I am. I don't really want to see this go on a major player. I could definitely understand them putting it on a Hangman, a MJF, even a Wardlow type, because they're trying to groom these guys as, like, really big deals. But
Sammy G
is
the one true answer.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Darby too. Him and Darby.
I
Sammy,
like Darby.
I would
Wouldn't
like
be
to
upset.
I would like to see that be the finals. Like, you're able to build these two up, and it's a rematch of what they've done, and it really starts establishing these two dudes as, like, they're the next up for that division potentially. This seems like it's going to be a TV championship, which that's cool. Like, establishing it early on. Like I said, we're trying to kind of kill time in AEW as well right now because they don't know what's going on, and it's very hard to continue or make new storylines out of what's going on. So you have to. This is very much a smart idea, and I think that there will be video packages and stuff like that that will go with this that will make this even better. So I'm excited. It really bears down to who is in the tournament though, because I don't really want a lot of upper card guys, and I don't think that's the point. So I would Joey Janela I would like to see in it. I would like to see.
Yeah.
What's tough is a lot of the people that I would be intrigued in seeing in this are in a tag team, and I like, you could definitely see them separating a tag team, but at the same time, both guys kind of deserve it, and it's only an 8-man tournament. For example, Penta and Phoenix. Both would do great in this tournament. Both would make total sense. Hell, even Matt Jackson would make sense in this and would be fun to see in this capacity to do something a little different. I'd rather see Nick, but he just had a kid, so I understand all of that. But like there are a lot of tag teams out there, man, that I would be interested in seeing. I almost wish they had done a 16-man tournament. I know that that's a lot to keep track of and a lot more for the
No,
fans.
I do too. I agree though. 100%. A 16-man would be crazy.
They have Dark, they have Dynamite. Like you could have done a lot more with this that I think would have been better for the fans overall. So I do get it wanting to do an 8-man, but I was kind of hoping they would have stretched it out a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the same way I felt about the tag team tournament, where I was like, "This is cool, but I want more." But that said, this is a sick 8-man singles competition tournament for a title. I don't know what much more I could ask for, so I'm not gonna bitch about it. But I don't know. Like you said, a 16-man would be like so much more grandiose and large scale, and like, oh my god, there's so many people and there's so many main guys and there's so many smaller guys and younger guys, and it just makes you more excited. But whatever, I'm not gonna harp on that. It's just how I feel inside.
Yeah, and at the same time, we are under a situation where you can't have more than 10 people in a place, so
Fair.
you don't want to announce that you're doing like and that to some people I'm sure that sounds stupid. Like it's a 16-man tournament, they could tape it on 2 different days, they could do so many different things.
Yeah.
100% agree with you, but you don't really want to advertise it because people spin shit a weird way, and that's something that came out from
definitely do.
the tapings that was mentioned by Meltzer, is that after the Dynamite show where they did have people in the crowd, there were people complaining about this, and he had mentioned it being like a wrestling politics type thing, which you can very much see someone in WWE complaining to their network to then complain to TNT or whatever that this is happening, especially with WWE under the limitations they're under. So it does make sense that there's a lot more of a political game going on behind the scenes than we are aware of. So I get why you would want to keep it as small as you can, but you just have such a deep roster. Like even like I'm thinking of Pride and Powerful, they're another team you could put in there. The Best Friends, another team you could put in there. Like so I get, and it's also difficult because then you have 16 people you need to then fly out or however. So there's a lot more to it than that. So I get why you do 8 right here. But it's still exciting, and who knows, maybe that'll be a very different 8 than we're expecting just because of who's willing to come in, who's like
That's
available. So I almost guarantee Darby and Sammy to be on that. It would make no sense for them not to be. In all honesty, those two dudes deserve that championship match more than probably anyone on the roster. Not to put anyone down for not showing up at this time. Those guys have been there the last 2 weeks and put on good matches and been an entertaining piece. Sammy wasn't actually on the main card on the first Dynamite, but he was so entertaining singing Jericho's theme song. He was a part of Dark that night. He was a part of Dynamite last week, part of the best match on Dynamite last week. Like, so these two have been important during this time period that I don't see a reason not to build around those two at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. And honest to God, I just want to see Sammy G get the title. And I like Darby. I love Darby. And I would be really happy with him getting the title too. But it just seems like Sammy G is so ready to have that and to also bring it home. Because if Darby wins, he's not bringing the title home to a stable. He just has the title. But if Sammy G wins, then the Inner Circle has another title. And I like that.
Yeah. And hey, it adds a lot more to the Inner Circle as well. And Sammy has a lot of backup behind him. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Jake Hager in there as well. He's been around, and I could see, like, again, because there's only so many people available that are A, willing to travel, or B, like in the area or whatever, aren't sick, aren't showing symptoms. Like, there's a lot of things that can hold people out of this tournament. So it's not even to say, like, that it's bad on them for not showing up, but just kudos to the guys who are able to show up in Darby and Sammy, who have been so entertaining. So I'm really looking forward to that, and looking forward to Dark tonight just to get at least half of that. And that's another thing that would make it more exciting. We'd be looking at an episode of Dark with 8 competitors being announced, not 4. 4 feels like like you might as well just announce them all on one show.
Yeah. At that point, yeah, because why would you split it up? But I don't know. I'm just hyped as a tournament, man. I don't have too much to say other
Yeah.
than I'm goddamn excited, and I this is exactly what I want. And no crowd or no crowd, I'm gonna be into this. I don't care. So it's not like, oh, you have to push this back because like for the same reason as Blood and Guts. Like fuck that. No, it's on TV title, TV tournament. It's good.
Yeah, and the one thing I definitely don't want to see is I don't really want to see like Archer or Brody involved in this. I guess Brody did have a match, so I mean, Archer hasn't had a match yet. I don't want to see anyone in this match who doesn't even have a win, or in this tournament who doesn't even have a win, just because they've pushed win-loss records so much that even if it's just 1-4, like they can lost a decent amount this year, whatever. But if you don't have a win, you shouldn't be involved in this tournament, and that's something I'll be paying attention to when they announce
I agree with that.
the brackets.
Yeah.
And that's basically my only expectation going into it. They're going to do what they want to do with the brackets. It's not going to be all guys I want. I'd love to see Joey, Jungle Boy, Darby, Sammy. Like, that's already half a bracket. Am I going to be able to choose half of the bracket? I doubt it. So I imagine there'll be guys in there I'm not expecting to see, but we'll have to wait and see.
Does Joey have a win this year?
That's fair, dude. Based on that, I think he has a tag team win on last week's Dark. So that at the very
right.
bare minimum, if we're going with overall record, he does have a win, and I'll give it to him. If that's all I want to see is a win. I don't want to see any of these new like independent talent on there who haven't won. I don't want to see Archer on there, even though
Butler.
like yeah, exactly. I expect to see Colt Cabana in there because he's literally like he's been poking fun about it, but he's 3-0 so far, so
Yeah.
he's one I expect. But they're going to announce at least half of that bracket on Dark. Let's go ahead and talk about the card we have for Dark this week. It's not as full. We don't have as many matches, but we do have 4 interesting matches. The first one being Sean Dawn versus Sean Spears. Totally unfamiliar with who Sean Dawn is, but it's a chance for Spears to,
Fight another Sean.
yeah, I guess. I'm yeah. I'm interested in seeing who this guy is. Maybe he gets an opportunity to really impress me, but I haven't really heard a lot about him. I haven't been on Twitter as much this week, so maybe people are really excited about this. But yeah, he doesn't have like a huge. But hey, sometimes that leads to something exciting. So I'm definitely not counting this guy out in any way, shape, or form. I'm actually looking at his Twitter, and he looks like he's got a cool build to him, man. He could be interesting. So maybe. And I would love, I'm still begging them to give an upset on one of these with one of these lower card guys. So
Yeah, and this would be the way to do it with Sean Spears. And Sean Spears has been notably in tag team matches the past forever. So it would be interesting to see him get a singles match against a rookie upstart kind of thing.
yeah, and hey, maybe this guy beats Sean Spears, and that leads to Spears being like, he's the one, he's my partner.
That would be cool.
And hey, they just need to put me in charge of booking Sean Spears, because so far that's 2 weeks in a row you said I've got a cool Sean Spears idea. But no,
Yeah.
I think they need to do something with one of these guys to make it a little bit more interesting. It was a thought that went across my head earlier today, that how long can they get by with these matches, with these squash matches, essentially.
I don't know, man. Raw did it for like
that was
5
that was the
years.
90s, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
but they did it with cartoons, and it was bad. And nobody liked it, but everybody liked it.
there's streaming services now and stuff, man. I agree that they could probably get away with it for a while, but Dark is already like show, and to look at these cards and be like, man, it looks like I could tell you
Yeah, I
exactly
hear
who's gonna win every match. Like, it's essentially like we did we'll continue on. The next match we have is Matt Sells taking on Sammy G. Matt Sells did have a match last week, so there's a little continuation here for him. That's cool. He's got a look about him that people are fond of, so good for him for keeping around.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't catch his match last week, or if I did, I don't remember it. So I don't know what that says about him, but I don't think he's bad by any means. Just because I wasn't paying attention, if Sammy G loses to Matt Sells, I'll be upset. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, 100%. I think that Matt Sells is someone that even Tony Khan has mentioned on social media just as a joke about putting him in a match against Colt Cabana. It was very like weird, random joke from the owner of the company. But this guy has even the owner's attention just because he has like this old school 80s look. I think he's the guy that Phil was referencing when talking
is it
about.
the guy who looks like Zicky Dice?
Maybe. I don't know what Zicky Dice
Like
looks
the
like.
blonde hair,
yeah.
the tattoos, and the fanny pack.
Yeah, kind of. So I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same guy. Yeah, so this is a good chance for him to at least showcase what he's got up against Sammy G. This should be interesting. And like I said, he was on last week's episode of Dark, so there's some type of relationship that has to be built here, you'd think.
Yeah, definitely. That would be cool. Because I like those gimmicks. Although I would prefer it just be Zicky Dice because I like Zicky Dice a lot.
Yeah, so I mean I just like the old school 80s type gimmick feel. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that they're bringing on some of these guys multiple weeks in a row, so it makes more sense.
Yeah. That's interesting, and I do like that gimmick a lot. So now I'm more excited for this.
Yeah, and then in the third match, we have your boy Darby Allin taking on Preston Vance. Vance has been around, maybe just in a backstage capacity, but he definitely was on an episode of Dynamite or Dark in the past. But he's the guy who's usually around Cody with the Nightmare group that we don't really know why.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Not really.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fair. Again, not someone that's really well known by the audience. He was in one episode of Dark. Phil would definitely remember it more than I do even. But he did get a chance to do something in the past. He's been around with Cody. Like I think he works in the backstage capacity or something, or he's just one of Cody's like guys because he's someone that Cody's referenced quite a few times on social media. Been around Cody in the backstage capacity, so who knows? Hopefully he gets a chance to shine. Like I said, looks like Darby win here, so we can really tell where this show is going.
Yeah, I mean, I assume a Darby win. I hope a Darby win because I wouldn't be against that upset, but I don't want that upset to be against Darby or Sammy. I think that would be a waste.
Agree 100%. I think it would be a waste on those guys. I think on Spears it would actually be good, and it would be smart to start the show that way because it gives you the idea that, hey, maybe Sammy or Darby could lose. And going into this tournament, those are two guys who absolutely shouldn't be losing. Those are two guys I want to see go into the tournament. Again, I'm not really expecting any of the official AEW guys to lose in this show, so especially not those two. I wouldn't do it to them. It would really be a shocker, that's for sure. But it wouldn't be a happy surprise at all. And then in our main event, we have AEW World Champion Jon Moxley wrestling Fabu Andre. Yes.
Fabu Andre, the next champion, baby. He's going to get John with the 1, 2, 3 and go on to win the title. I'm saying it now.
On Twitter, he is referenced as a fabulous butterfly. I have never seen Fabu Andre wrestle, but looking at his social media, he looks like he'll present something interesting for social media and Twitter. And so, I mean, he's got a video right now of himself lighting up a cigar, so I'm all in. I'm all in on Fabu Andre, bro. Like
Fabu Andre,
the next AEW World Champion. No, they've done a good job at finding like really random people that we maybe have never heard of. Like he's not even Peter Avalon levels though, because Peter Avalon had some like well-knownness to him. This dude has 207 followers.
Oh wow.
He is just straight up a Florida native, like a Florida wrestler, independent. So they're just scouring indies in Florida right now. And here's the thing. Like, I totally understand, and it's a great opportunity for these people, yada, yada, yada. It kind of makes me a little nervous because all these indie talent, like, you don't know what their regular day-to-day job is. Maybe they work in a grocery store or like and are consistently around people who are sick. And like I really appreciate giving these opportunities to these independent talent 100%, and I get it. But in some cases it's like, why are we bringing in so much outside talent and putting in our talent at risk? Because these outside talent have so many more variables to them that we're not akin to as maybe our normal roster. So it does create great opportunities, but also creates a little bit more of a risk for the overall roster, and that makes me wonder.
On the same token, though, you have the main roster who are making multiple flights, a lot of them anyways, to get to Florida, just to work for a couple nights and then fly back again on multiple flights. So I feel like they're just as at risk.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, and that's just a very small point of anything, and it really it's not really to shit on them. It's just something to think about. Like no matter what we do, I guess we're always going to be at risk. So it becomes a matter of what type of risk do we want to take.
Yeah.
And it is good because we are giving these unknown talent, an opportunity to make a name for themselves or really a platform to do something different because this guy is literally totally unknown. I wonder almost if he was like maybe someone Janela was planning on bringing in for spring break because he was super like for them to have pulled this out of because the thing is, yes, I totally get it's not too hard to find a regular indie in Florida and bring in one of those talents, but like I don't know. At the same time, it isn't that easy. It's not that easy to just be like, oh yeah, let's find a talented, and mission that'll be the point. Maybe he won't be talented. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've been to Florida indies, like Vero Beach, beach town indies, where it's not like I'm in Miami or Fort Lauderdale seeing MLW, like local indies, and the talent is hit and miss for sure. Like some of them are really great. They're definitely like because like nobody looks like that I've seen. Nobody looks like a schlub or like morbidly obese like West Virginia. Shout out to my old hometown, West Virginia. Nobody looks like they are just fans who are jumping in the ring. They all look like wrestlers from the shows that I've been to, which is cool. So there definitely is a lot of good talent to pull from. But as to how talented they are, I mean, they're still indie guys, you know. And they're not like big indie guys, so it's not like they're the top of the class. They're like, you know, mediocre, average, okay, to like sometimes good.
I guess I just appreciate the fact that they're bringing in indie talent with gimmicks like characters. Matt Sells obviously has a bit more to him. This Fabu Andre has a lot more to him. Abaddon, who shined in Denver, has a lot more to her. Like these people are getting these opportunities, and they're so different and cool that it's working out for them. So, however they're discovering this talent, however they're looking for it or whatever, they've done a good job. And who knows? Like I don't expect this guy to beat Moxley at all. I expect it to be like a 2-minute squash. But
Yeah,
at the
not
same
even.
time. At the same time, seeing him on social media now, I expect it to be maybe a little bit more of a thing that could be trendy. Like there will be gifts to this guy and his interaction with
And
Mox.
his entrance and his butterfly gear.
Yeah, so that should be fun. So overall, I'm excited about that. Like I'm excited to see Dark, no matter the fact that the card does look a little bit one-sided in terms of a very much AEW centric show that's what's weird about it right now. It feels like AEW versus the indies every week, and it's not even like the whole indies, it's the Florida indies, which is like slim pickings at some points.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, excited for what's going on, excited to see Dark tonight, excited for Dynamite tomorrow. I'm not totally sure on the card for Dynamite tomorrow, so we're not really even going to run through that. We'll just run down the show tomorrow. But is there anything else we got to add, AJ, before we wrap things up for this condensed episode?
No, nothing I got.
All right. Well, before we close out, let's go ahead and on this episode, I know it's going to be for you, but who's your pick of the TNT champion? You got to pick right now.
Sammy G.
Oh, you got your opportunity to dab too. For me, I'm going with Joey Janela, man. I want to see it. I don't expect it in any way, major way, shape, or form, but I would like to see like some kind of random build for this dude. And I don't even necessarily know that I believe in it too much myself, but as a big Joey fan, that would be my pick. And a good way to elevate him, I think. Maybe not even winning it, just him getting to the final. Him getting to the finals and coming up short, I think would probably be the best bet, where he has this amazing, surprising climb to the top, and then some heel kind of fucks him out of it. Maybe not being the first champion, so maybe I have to fall back on that a little bit. But still, man, Joey's my guy, so that's where I'm riding.
I am not deterred by Joey Janela's underperformance, if you will, in AEW. I know he's got the goods. You know he's got the goods. All right, Jelly Nutella is not is not over yet, okay? But he will be, and it's going to be great.
Well, and like I said, it's just kind of the idea of if he can make that drive to maybe the top of the card or to the top of the tournament and then lose, I think that gives you an opportunity for him to do the videos and stuff that have worked really well for him in the past, where because he has a story. Then he came so close, falls short, someone screwed him over.
Give him long matches. He's a good wrestler, and like if you put him against people who are good wrestlers, it always shows up. Like with Kenny Omega and John Moxley.
Dude, yeah, I agree with you 100%, but at the same time, I look at the people like Cornette who have a lot more to say on the fact of he's a backyard, no good, no talented. And then you're naming top tier wrestlers that he's working with. It's like, no shit, he's having a good match with Kenny Omega. But
if you put him against somebody good, even like a Darby Allin, even like a Sammy G, like he's gonna have great matches if they're like a decent time.
Yeah, for sure, I agree with you 100%. And who knows, like I can't think of, outside of Sammy G, I guess, who would be like an out of left field surprise champion for you out of the TNT, for the TNT title?
Out of left field? Honestly, I guess that wouldn't be out of left field though. Yeah, it would be Janela, because that's like Sean Spears.
No,
I could say, but
I would be so mad. No,
like for me,
he doesn't even need to be in the tournament, and I guess that's what some people will probably say about Janela in the same vein. It's like, so maybe they should be more careful with who they include in it. Maybe Janela doesn't even make the selection despite being available. I mean, and that would be the only reason that I would think Spears would be in it, is just because he's there.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Because he's a good enough person to put in it and lose to someone early on. Like put a Jungle Boy over. It would be a solid victory for Jungle Boy to beat him in the first round.
I personally would not be pissed like many people would be if he went on and won the tournament.
Well, and with a tournament, you can elevate someone like Spears by having cocky, shitty victories where he ends up coming out on top and is like, wow, I never needed to be a tag team partner or a tag team wrestler, and like says fuck Tully Blanchard too and beats the shit out of him or something. Like,
that'd be sweet.
So like there are things
you should come up with the Sean Spears ideas, bro.
There are things you can do with him to really sort of elevate him to being a champion, but right now as it stands, it wouldn't fit. But again, he's someone who you can put in this position to maybe elevate a Jungle Boy, like I said, or something, because Jungle Boy would be a left field pick for me too. And that's what's hard for me with this tournament and how it's set up is a babyface victory doesn't feel that meaningful in an 8-man. A babyface victory where you overcome the odds of 16 people and you're the size of Darby Allin and it's incredible odds and stuff, that's a lot more impactful. But with this small tournament and it being the inaugural, like the first champion, it would feel very weird for it to not be a heel winner. And that's where they kind of do things different and try to give you a different story. But I'm, especially with Hangman already being a tag team champion, I don't have a lot of like major baby face picks that would make a ton of sense. That's why even after I said Joey, I'm like, man, I kind of should come back on that one because it's not as accurate as I'd like for it to be.
Yeah. And I mean, Darby Allin is just like groomed and ready to be this guy. So I'm not going to be upset if Darby Allin wins at all. I'll be ecstatic. I'll just be a little more ecstatic if Sammy G wins because I think the same exact thing about him, but just a little more so. Like he just has something about him. And so does Darby. But Sammy G just has something about him where you can see like, damn, this kid could be like the next guy in like the right amount of time and the right amount of work. He has just this untapped potential that like he has in him, and it would just be amazing to see that come out.
It's a weird kind of correlation, but the big reason I want to see him and Sammy make that drive to the finals, like you could very easily set that rematch in the first round of the tournament, but I would much rather see it as them being the two fighting for the championship because they remind me in a weird way of like Eddie and Benoit as they're coming up and just being different types of characters and like still so like compelling, so much more interesting to watch for the fans and like and so talented as well. Like so they really remind me of that. And so like early Eddie and Benoit, like WCW or even New Japan, like when they're just establishing how fucking good they are and people are just starting to catch on to it, like this is very much that with these two, and I want to see this one continue. Like we've talked about a couple of natural born feuds in AEW where like MJF and Hangman or stuff like that. This seems like the work rate one, the one between two dudes who are going to be able to put on the best matches and should be talked about for a while. And in a company like AEW, I hope that they go that route and put them in the top, in the mainstream. You know,
Wholeheartedly agree.
So hopefully
My
that's
Darby Allin figure.
Yeah, me too, dude. So that's where I'm headed with this. I'm very excited to tune into Dark. I hope at least a couple of the guys we're expecting are announced. I honestly want to see those two on separate sides of the bracket, so maybe only one of them is announced tonight. So, but still very curious because I don't know who's available in Florida and stuff like that. So interesting shit.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be interesting and rocky and a little weird, but weird isn't always bad. Sometimes it's just working with what you got dealt, and I think they're doing a great job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing a great job with everything they've been dealt in this situation, making it work, and doing a tournament sets you up in a good way to do tapings too, and like get a lot of stuff in the bag. So if they don't already have stuff taped, I imagine that's where they'll be headed this week, and a lot of things going forward, because we've at least gotten the confirmation that the restrictions that we're gonna have are pretty much in place until the end of April now. So they have the idea, or they should have the idea at least, to start really getting things taped up and ready to go throughout the month. So perfect way to do it with a tournament. Excited for that. That really wraps everything up for us. AJ, go ahead and plug your social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at BigMatchAJ, and you can follow me on Instagram at AJTheFitzy.
And as always, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at All Elite Podcast. We're on Instagram at All Elite Everything. We're also on Facebook at Facebook.com/AllElitePod. And you can always follow me, the host, All Elite Andy, on Twitter at All Elite Andy. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button, brother. See ya.
Bye.